Hello there, and you're very welcome to another episode of the Arkham Avengers FFPL podcast. You join me, the host, along with Eamon, Hector, and Captain Fantastical Mick, where we take a look to see how the managers in this league are getting on for the season. However, we'll also be talking about much more. So kick back, stay tuned, and enjoy. Welcome everybody to this week's show. We've no Captain Fantastical Mick, as he happens to be away this week,
and he probably doesn't want to sit through another one of those Hector's Hellos segment. And I can understand. I mean, I'm getting tired of those segments myself, and I fully understand why he wouldn't want to be here.
Hold on a moment, Eamon. Why don't you just take it back? Take it back, I say. People, they love Hector's Hellos. I tell you now, you want to take it back.
Hold on a second, lad. No. I need to reply to this here. I certainly won't be taking that back. I've not met or heard from any one person who tells me that they find that enjoyable. You happen to rabbit on there, putting us almost asleep with your telephone book list of all these places, these so-called listeners.
You mean so-called listeners? They are listening here. They are listening to us here.
Hold on a second now. Wait a moment. I haven't even had a chance to introduce either of you to our listeners this week, and there you are at it. Eamon, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Or I was doing very well before. You sort of turned on me.
Fair enough. Hector, how are you?
Well, to put it the mild way, I'm not very impressed. I try to do the Hector's Hellos. I try to be friendly, and Eamon turned on me here. And now he's saying to me that I'm making these places up, and there's no one listening from those places. And you know they are from those places. You tell me they are countries and they are people who are downloading our show and listening to it. Yeah, that is correct, yes?
Yes, that is correct. Eamon, I have to say, wherever Hector speaks about, be it in Wuhan province or Mumbai, we actually have listeners listening to us in those areas, those regions, those parts of the world. So Hector's not making that up.
Well, okay, I do apologize, Hector, if I insulted you in any way by implying that you're making up these places and these listeners. Do accept my apology on that. However, I do stand by that your list, this Hector's Hello, is rather a bit long. It's a bit tiresome, and I think you need to shorten it a little bit. If you're the host, you surely have to agree with this.
I do agree with him. We're going to have to shorten it down a little bit. I mean, if you want to carry over a couple of those locations into next week's show or the week after, I have no problem with that, but you will have to shorten it ever so slightly. Right, that's enough of this now. Mick actually told me he had to go to England, and he'll be back for our next show. And I still think that's probably his cover story. Eamon, let's move on now. We're here today on this show to have a look at Gameweek 9 and how our managers fared out. However, I think at first, I'll turn to you, Eamon. Is Eamon's tackles, or Eamon Tackles, or whatever you're calling it these days, is it back this week?
It most certainly is. It's Eamon Tackles is what I call it.
Okay, Eamon Tackles. Okay, Eamon. Take it away.
Thank you. This week, I should be tackling reckless drivers on the road of Ireland. I think it's a topic that needs to be discussed, and I speak of one who witnessed what I can only call a lunatic driver this week.
Maybe you upset the driver, huh? Maybe he upset with you.
Oh, sorry, what?
Maybe you didn't say hello to him, like Hector says hello.
The driver of the car, who was a man, I have to add, he was in the car. How could I possibly say hello to him when we're driving on the road?
You have the point there, Hector.
Can I get back to what I'm tackling here?
Or maybe you were driving too slow.
No, Hector, I was under the speed limit.
Wow, so you're driving 40 kilometers per hour in 100-kilometer road?
I was doing 90 to 95 kilometers per hour.
Actually, the experts say if you reduce your speed, you don't use as much fuel. Can I ask, lads, have either of you noticed this?
No, I have not noticed, but then I get lift from friends and I not know there are fuel issues.
Wait a minute, excuse me. Both of you could just be quiet for a moment. I'd like to speak about my topic.
Fire away there, Eamon. Sure, you've got the mic. The airwaves are all yours.
I wish Eamon would get on with this. He's very slow at this.
Excuse me. As I was trying to say, last Monday, I was on the road going to Athlone, driving along. This fellow in an Audi was behind me. We were driving along, and at one point, there's a stretch of road with no oncoming traffic where this chap could have overtaken me without any issues. Nice and safe. However, he waited until we were going up a hill, and it's this point that he decides to pull out and overtake me. We're going up the road, up the hill, and another car comes over the hill. I slowed down. This lunatic managed to get his car in out of the way before crashing into the oncoming car.
No crash.
Thankfully not. No, there wasn't, but there could have been, Hector.
But there wasn't, so all is good.
How is that good? Some lunatic almost caused an accident, and you're saying all is good.
Because, Eamon, you're sitting here today. No accident, all be well.
I think you're missing the point here, Hector. There was no accident, yes. There was no accident at that time, but that doesn't mean there won't be the next time.
What do you mean the next time?
That fella might not be so lucky the next time he pulls out to overtake somebody. He might crash into someone and cause some real damage. What part of that are you not getting?
But maybe he'll learn a lesson for next time.
No, I don't think he did learn a lesson because he took off racing down the road like the lunatic that he was.
Well, Eamon, probably why he driving so fast down the road was that he wanted to get away from you because he knew you were going to give out on him.
Of course I give out.
Bringing us back on track here, Eamon. Now, hang on. I take it you're tackling drivers who conduct an overtaking maneuver in a reckless manner where they can cause an accident.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. There was no need for it. They had plenty of time. The road before them, they could have overtaken safely, but most likely this lunatic was probably on his phone and not watching the road in the first place.
Ah, yes, so you make the assumption he was on phone, but do you have proof?
No, Hector, I don't have actual proof, but I'm drawing parallels as to why he didn't overtake. Why wouldn't he overtake earlier?
Maybe he dropped something. Maybe he having a drink of coffee, maybe, or he might be eating breakfast and, like having a croissant and crumbs laying down on top of him.
Are you actually having a laugh? You're now making excuses for someone to overtake on a hill with no clue as to what may be ahead.
I know laugh. I know laugh. I look and try and see both stories.
In fairness, Hector, whatever the driver was or wasn't at, there really is no valid excuse to go and overtake another vehicle when you're going up a hill, when you wouldn't know what oncoming traffic is coming.
I know, I agree.
And finally, the penny or the euro or whatever has dropped.
So now you think the driver dropped something like I say. Eamon, now you agree with me on this theory.
I actually give up. There's no talking to this fella here, I don't think I can say anything else.
All right, okay. Well, that's it, Eamon. You've tackled this issue about the lunatic driver to the best of your ability.
Well, I could talk more about it, but I'm exasperated with this barrage of nonsense that's coming over here about he could have dropped something. He might have learned lessons. I mean, I don't know what planet Hector is on here where he thinks that sort of conduct on the road is acceptable.
I didn't say nothing about his conduct. I don't know the man. I never met him before.
Well, I know you didn't meet him before. I didn't meet him either.
Why are you getting all excited at me about, You know something, Eamon? Sometimes you have to let the window down and just breathe.
What?
Just breathe.
What, car fumes?
No. You're driving along country road there. You breathe in fresh air or maybe stop car, when it's safe to and just get out, have a walk around. Contemplate. Put your concerns on a cloud and let them blow away.
What? This is just ridiculous. Put my concerns on a cloud. Are you just going to sit there and let him go on about this? I mean, our listeners are going to think we're dealing with fruitcakes here.
Well, no, Eamon, you were the one that brought up the lunatics in the first place. And, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. Sometimes you just have to take a breath of fresh air. He's driving the way he is. You're talking about him. He might be listening to our show and might realise that was me. I better go and cop myself on. Or, like, as you said, he could wind up in an accident. And, unfortunately, someone might get hurt.
Well, okay. There's nothing else to say.
Thanks for that, Eamon. So it was very insightful to hear when Eamon tackles. Hector, have you anything for us on your specialised topic of theology and psychology of the fantasy football transfers?
I had it all wrote out of this week. I had the good lines, the important words.
Okay, fair enough. Take it away.
I can't.
Why not? Sure, after saying you wrote it all out, your material, so what's the issue?
I know I wrote it out.
Can't you just get on with it, Hector?
I say I can't. I just say I can't.
Why can't you? What's stopping you?
I left the papers at home.
Surely you can remember some of the content that you wrote down. I mean, some of it must be in that head of yours. You didn't write the whole lot out there and just remember nothing.
No, Eamon. That is why I write it down, so I would not forget. If I remember everything, then why would I write it down? No, Eamon, you're being silly now at the moment.
It's hardly being silly.
Right. Okay, Hector. Sure, if you haven't got the material, then we won't be able to have your segment. You might have it next week, will you?
I do. I have it next week. By the way, I make things to find out the name of the man who spoke about recession in the My Dew community hall after the choir performance. He was talking about Pat and Marianne in the gloves.
Hector, sorry to interrupt and correct you there. It's not a recession. It's called a recitation.
Sure, Eamon. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the recruitment. I speak with local man here who said that the man who do this Marianne and the gloves chat, that he was visiting there that evening.
Okay, and do we have any idea where he was visiting from?
No, I not find him yet. The local person said to me, he said, go down road for half a kilometer. Then he told me turn right. Then I had to follow on the road for about another 4 or 5 kilometers. And then when I come to junction, I had to turn right. He says, carry on down the road. And then you come to crossroads and turn right again. And then I come to where the pub is closed. And he says, I may find a man there who knows this man, but that man not there.
Sorry, what man wasn't there?
The man who might have known about the man who speak about the gloves.
Okay, so you ended up at a pub there.
Yeah, it was just across from the church where I spoke to the local man in the first place.
So you actually kind of went around the circle, did you?
Well, kind of, yeah, for some reason. I know why he didn't say just go across the road to the pub that was closed.
I have a pretty good idea, right?
Oh, what would it be?
I'm not telling you, I'm keeping it to myself, and I'd say our listeners have a good idea as well.
Okay, well, Hector, you might keep us updated on that. And if you find out the name of this gentleman, I'm sure you will share it with us. We might be able to say hello to him in one of our episodes.
Lynn, I be like a man Columbo. I go looking for him and I be asking last questions.
Very well. And now, sure, we might as well move over to have a look at the football matters. So, game week 9, lads. Highest points were 157. The average points came in at 68. Who wants to have a look at the first few teams?
I'll have a look if you don't mind.
Okay, Eamon.
Well, in first place is Taiga. No change there. 91 points. They played a wild card, and Haaland was their captain and got 46 points. Tony was there with 1 point. Mitrovic didn't get any points. They actually got a yellow card. They played 36 minutes. De Bruyne had 8 points. Harrison picked up 3 for them. Madison got 18. Andres had 2 points. Fofana had 2 points. James also had 2 points. Trippier had 7 points, and their goalkeeper, Pope, had 2 points. They had a very good captain choice. I'd have a concern about a couple of the players. I don't think they're really performing. Harrison, Andres are 2 of those lads. Fofana would be another one. Mitrovic, of course, I think has a bit of an injury. And Tony is usual hit and miss. He probably have 2 or 3 poor games and have 1 decent game. But no, they're top of the pops at the moment. They'll be pleased with where they are. In second place, and they've moved up from the previous week's third, is Raglan Road, 87 points. They had 2 transfers. They brought in goalkeeper Martinez, who picked up 6 points. They put out goalkeeper Mende, who didn't get any points. And Tarkowski.
Who?
Tarkowski.
Oh, all right, okay.
He got 2 points, and cash was put out because he's got an injury. They also went for Haaland as their captain and got 46 points. Jesus was there with 8 points. Zaha had 2 points, Bernardo had 5, Stoic got 3 points, Salah had 5 points, Gabriel had 2 points, Tarkowski, as I said, had 2 points, Cancelo had 1, Trippier was there with 7, and they also had goalkeeper Martinez with 6 points. Again, another good goalkeeper transfer, worked out well for them. They went for the right captain. I would have a concern, I think, that their midfield is a little lightweight. I think they need to bulk up with a good midfielder and certainly probably a good defender. They're nearly there with pretty strong, tough team. As I said, maybe just need to check that in there a little bit. Up to third from the previous week's fifth place is the good, the bad, and the goalie, 79 points. They didn't have a transfer. Haaland is their captain, 46 points. Jesus was there with 8. Mitrovic, of course, didn't get any points. Martinelli came in with 4 points. Andres had the 2 points. Salah had 5. Luis Diaz came in with 4 points. Saliba had 1 point. Cancelo had 1 point. Alexander-Arnold had no points. Their goalkeeper, Ward, picked up 8 points. Again, they went with the right captain. It's a good move for them. They've been steadily rising, and I'd say they've got their eye on second place. They're going to push now. We're going to see the real manager come out now. Goal guns blazing, I'd say, from now on. And down to fourth place from previous game week's second is none other than Arkham Avengers with 60 points. No transfers. Their captain was Salah, 10 points. They did have Haaland on the pitch for 23 points. Tony had 1 point. Jesus had 8. Gundogan picked up 2 points. De Silva had 1. Martinelli had 4 points. Cancelo had 1. James had 2 points. Gabriel had 2 points. Their goalkeeper, Rea, managed to get 6 points. The spoofer doesn't let us down. They managed to shoot themselves in the foot with their captain choice. Most likely they were daydreaming. I don't know why they went for Salah. Salah hasn't been showing much form. They must have been expecting a miracle, and instead they got a nightmare out of this. It cost them down to 4th, and there's a couple of managers who are chasing behind them, and I'd say that it's a precarious position. They remind me of a guy hanging on a rope on a cliff, and the rope is chafing on the rocks, and will he fall or will he manage to climb up? This is the spoofer, of course. Anything is possible.
Okay, thank you for that, Eamon. Very colourful commentary there about the spoofer. Hector, would you like to talk about the next couple of teams? No, yeah, I will. Okay, down to 5th place from last game week's 4. They were in 4th, that is. It was the game week was 8, and they're down to 4. Yeah, I think we follow what you're saying. They were in 4th, they're down to 5th now. Okay, move on. Is the Lafayette Lions. 70 points, and they had no transfers. They did have the Haaland as the captain, and he got the 46 points. Mitrovic, no point. They had the Kane, had the 6 points. De Bruyne had the 8. Martinelli picked up 4 points. The Odegaard had 2 points. Grosh 2 points. De Lotta got -2 points. Saliba had 1 point. Cancelo had the 1 point, and their goalkeeper, Pope, had 2 points. Della is the reason why they dropped down there, and probably time to reassess, do they keep him or not? Should he stay or should he go now? That is a very good question. By the way, I like that song as well when we hear it. Up to 6th place, they previously were in 8th. Cambai High, Cancelo, 95 points. They had 1 transfer. They brought Madison in and they put De Bowen out. Madison got 18. Bowen got 14. Haaland was their captain for 46 points. Kane had 6 points. Mitrovic had no point. Zaha had 2 points. Madison, as I said, he had the 18 points. Martinelli picked up 4. Trippier had the 7 points and Cancelo had 1 point. James was there also with 2 points. Perisic had 1 point, and their goalkeeper Ward had 8 points. The transfer, in my view, he just about worked out. Look, okay, Bowen did very well to get the 14 points. Madison got the 18 points. I think they're starting to move now, starting to put a little run together. Be very interesting to see what happens now next week, how they get on now. But I say, look, you're very good. You know, last week, you know, they were in 6th. Now, next week, maybe they'll be in 5th. You know, this is last year's winner. You know, they are now going to, I would say, focus on what they have to be doing there and to be thinking of the framework in which they're going to be working.
What are you going on about? Will you just talk about the teams?
I am, Eamon. I'm trying to comment, but I'm not using ropes hanging off cliffs like you do. Who's next, Hector? Down to 7th. They were previously in 6th. What a beauty, 99. 70 points. No transfers. However, they had the Haaland as the captain, 46 points. Jesus had 8. Tony had 1. Luis Duiz had 4 points. Salah had the 5. Odegaard had 2 points. Johnny had 1 point. Saliba had 1. Cancelo had 1. Alexander, no point. And their goalkeeper, Henderson, 1 point. Their defense, but certainly in a great week to be defenders. So it was not a good week for them. I think perhaps maybe a transfer would not go amiss if they want to do something. Maybe time to use it. Then, up to 8th place, they were previously in 10th. Maximum effort, 84 points. They had 2 transfers. Varane came in, they got now no point. Robinson went out, he is injured. Cancelo came in for 1 point and Diaz went out, no point. Their captain was Haaland, who had 46 points. Jesus had 8 points. Hoever had 5 points. Bruno Guimaraes was there with 4 points. De Bruyne was there with 8. Luis Diaz was there with 4 points. Cancelo had 1. As I said, Varane had no point. Botman had 5 point though. Van Dijk had 1 point and their goalkeeper Ramsdale had 2 points. I think they wasted their transfers. 2 transfers and to get 1 point, not good. Not good at all. I would not be impressed with that whatsoever. In the least, it's not very good at all. Up to 9th place then, and this manager was previously in 11th place, his best season ever. 86 points, no transfers. The captain was the Haaland, the 46 points. Jesus was there with 8. Mitrovic, no point. They had Foden, and they got 19 points. Luis Diaz was there with 4. Odegaard 2. Alexander-Arnold, no point. Saliba, 1 point. Trippier at 7 points. Malakia, -2 points. Not good. And their goalkeeper, Henderson,
1 point. As Eamon would say, they got himself into the top 10. And,
And I might just interject, I'm not sold on that. They are in ninth. Whether or not they can hold this and whether or not they've got enough in the tank to try and get themselves higher is questionable. And I'll come to this in a couple of moments after we've finished with looking at the rest of the league table.
Fair enough, okay. Eamon, do you want to take all of the remaining teams?
I certainly will. Down to 10th place, and they were in 9th, is Real No Stars, 60 points. No transfers. Salah was the captain for 10 points. Haaland was on the pitch with 23 points. Jesus had 8 points. Martinelli had 4 points. Doucouré had 2 points. Aronson had 3 points. De Bruyne had 8 points. Alexander-Arnold didn't pick up any points. Walker-Peters got 1. Nico Williams managed to get a -1 point. And the goalkeeper, Edison, 2 points. The slide for this manager continues. Very doubtful that they can stop it. No, they don't look like they're showing any effort to try and stop it. No transfers again, which don't help. And I think this manager is taking their eye, pardon the pun, off the ball and are just taking up a space on this table at the moment. Down to 11th then, previously had been in 7th place, is Cliche Bait, 53 points. No transfers either. Captain was Jesus, got 16 points. Tony had 1 point. Kane was there with 6 points. Rodrigo had 8 points. Salah, 5. Harrison, 3 points. Shevchenko had 2 points. James, 2 points. Trippier had 7 points. Cancelo had 1 point. Their goalkeeper, Ward, managed to get 8 points. Almiron, who they previously had on the pitch, was put on the bench and is sitting on that bench with 15 points. It's a very poor move. It's a shocking thing. This is as bad as what the spoofer's been doing. This manager who did show signs of form, commitment, is now looking more wishy-washy. They need to be more focused and they need to start to tune in quick, or they, like Real No Stars, will find themselves at the bottom of this table. I'll talk about one team and then, Hector, you can wrap it up if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine with me, and I go with whatever you say.
No change in 12th place. It's Blightsome squad, 73 points. They had 1 transfer. Michaelenko came in for 2 points. Dunk went out for 1 point. They did have Haaland as their captain, 46 points. Jesus had 8 points. Mitrovic doesn't pick up any points, of course. Fornals picked up 1 point, while Salah had 5 points. Andres had 2 points. Michaelenko, as I said, had 2 points. Struijk picked up 6, which was decent. Alexander-Arnold had no points. Cancelo had 1 point, and the goalkeeper, Pope, got 2 points. A few average players in this team, and look, thankfully they went for the right captain.
And over to you, Hector, for the last 2 teams. No change in 13th place. Better idea, 22-23, 36 points. No transfers. Their captain was Salah, who got them 10 points. Tony was there with 1 point. Ings at 1 point. Ward-Prowse had 2 points. Hoever had 2 points. De Bruyne had 8. Andres had 2. Alexander-Arnold had no point. James came in with 2 points. Walker had 1 point. And their goalkeeper, though, Fabianski, managed to get them 7 points, which is very good, very impressive. However, I feel this manager is not showing any signs of progression. They're not implementing anything they are learning. They are stale, they are stagnant, they're doing nothing, they're showing nothing. It's like they have switched off, or maybe they lost their password, or maybe something happened that they can't get in there, but they don't look active to me. In 14th place, no change either, it's Silverstro, 52 points. No transfers. They also had Salah as the captain for 10 points. They had Haaland for 23 points. Greenwood didn't get any points. Mitrovic got no points. Mount got 1. March got 6. Saka got 2 points. Cancelo got 1. Shevchenko got the 2 points. White did get 5 points, and their goalkeeper Edison had 2 points. A little bit like the manager before, and they need to show a bit of attention to their team. And I think, if they do that, because they look to me here, they do make no change, and I don't think they do anything with their team for this week. They did still get 52 points. And if they were to tinker a little bit with a transfer or two, I think they probably would have got maybe 60, 70 points. And that would be different between them. Nearly don't have bomb. They close gap on 13th place. So for me, I think this manager, a little bit of loving into their team is what they need.
Very good. Thank you for that there, Hector. Eamon, you have something to say?
Yes, indeed. I do have something to add to this. Some of these managers, and this goes across the board, if you had Haaland as your captain, you nearly got 50 points. And all credit to what he's done, what he's doing, and all credit to the manager who selects him as the captain. It's a good choice. But I think in the wider scheme of things, when you look at the bigger picture, you have to see that some of the other players on some of these teams are very average, they're very poor, there's not much return coming from them. If you take Haaland out of it, there's a lot of these teams that are very average. And that is a concern. I would be concerned. If I were a manager, I'd be thinking, who is in there getting me the points? Okay, Salah is not really showing much form. But if your midfield are not picking up, the 5-6 plus points, if they're only getting 1 or 2 points, then you've got a problem. I think forward lines, Chezu is doing well, so is Kane. You can't write them off. But they're like a Greenwood, Mitrovic. Yeah, Mitrovic was showing some bit of form, but not really now at the moment. And defensively, I think you need to study form here. There's a lot of good defenders, but there's a lot of bad weeks, bad results here. That's all I wanted to add on this. Without Haaland, your team is very average. You need to look at that. Like if he gets injured, who's going to step up to the plate for you? That's what you got to think about. Fair enough, Eamon. Well, thanks for that there. Food for thought. Certainly is.
You're talking about food. I'm feeling hungry now.
You're always thinking about your stomach, constantly.
No, I did not have anything to eat earlier on.
Okay, all right, okay. Hector, are we on Hector's hellos this week?
We certainly are. And I tell you, I will keep it short for you.
Well, I certainly do. If you don't keep it short, I will throw a telephone book at you.
You have a telephone book, Eamon?
I'm sure I'll find one someplace.
Go ahead there, Hector.
Welcome, listeners, and welcome to Hector's Hellos. And I give big shout out to all our listeners in Scotland, in the United Kingdom. We have listeners in Iran, Bavaria, County Kilkenny, Dublin, Mayo, in County Monaghan, in Fermanagh, Galway, all our listeners in the US of A, in California, New York, New Orleans, Georgia, Missouri, Pennsylvania. We have listeners over in Australia, Japan, India. Our listeners as well in South America, listening to Brazil. Hello, Mum, if you're listening to me. And our listeners in Peru. And that's it. Hector's Hellos will be back next week with more shout out. Stay tuned.
Well, there you go, Eamon. That really wasn't as bad as what we thought.
Sure, listen, he's giving a shout out now to his mum. It was Michael Cummins the other week down in, what's that place, Midwest Radio. Now with his mother. You just can't win. Eamon,
you can't beat him. Join him. Have you anybody to shout out to?
No, well, I suppose any of my friends listening. Love to see you over the weekend, maybe for a drinky winky.
All right, I think it's time we'll wrap up the show. Gentlemen, thanks very much for all your input, comments, views, all that we've chatted about on today's episode. As always, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Eamon.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure as well. Maybe sometimes not all that pleasurable, but most of the time I enjoy the show, and I hope our listeners do too.
Hector?
Well, I think there will be a bite to this show. When Mick is not here, Eamon, he try to, I don't know, he like the boxer coming out of the ring and he gonna say, here I am. However, I am like, I'm like the bee, they fly around there and the butterfly and I dodge, I do.
Oh, all right, okay. Well, sure, listen, thanks for coming on the show anyway.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Very nice, and hope our listeners are good. Take care.
Yes, indeed. And listeners, if you want to get in contact with the show about any topic, or if you have a topic that you'd like the lads to have a chat about, or if you have a request you'd like Hector to shout out, please feel free to send us an email at arkhamavengers@ffpl@gmail.com. You'll also find us on Twitter at Arkham Avengers, FFPL, and we're on Facebook as well. And all that remains for me to say is thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Do tell your friends and family and work colleagues about us. And we hope that you have a good couple of days until we return with next week's show. Until then, have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night. Wherever you are in the world, mind yourselves, take care, slán.